devotees here on Zoom, Narayan Prabhu, Rupa Manjari, Robert, our online viewers, and anyone who will be watching later. If they have any questions, comments, please feel free to join the WhatsApp group in the description of the video, and then you can interact with any one of us. So now we're going to hear Srila Prabhupada's 1966 The Happening album. Okay, screen share. All right, here it is.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.
I'm not sure what happened. Hold on. Let's see. It went to this video. Interesting. Wow.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
I can't hear you, Ramachandra.
Okay, there we go. So that was the Happening album, Srila Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna 1966. And now we're gonna read a poem. Do you call that the poem? Narayan, the tusk?
The
Okay.
tusk.
Yes. So you can start your video whenever you're ready. Okay, let me share the screen for the poem.
Who's
called-
going to read? Who's got Rupa Manjari? Could
Yes, she's the best reader, so she can definitely.
There's no question of that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
read the top. Dhamma Ghosh wrote,
Sure.
and then
Yeah.
I wrote the response.
All right. Let me share this. Okay, here we go, Rupa, whenever you're ready. This was dated April 23rd, 2005 at 7:38 a.m.
Haribol, Naranarayan, Namaskar, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
I'm trying
To
to say
dis-
who wrote that.
Oh,
Dhamma Ghosh wrote this.
Dhamma Ghosh Prabhu.
To
Go ahead.
destroy
I'm sorry.
to destroy tyranny in the realm of thought, verbal revolution by the informed masses, a huge job. Are you up to it? I agree that the whole deck of cards exists only based upon the ignorance of the blind followers. If the blinders are taken off, no easy job, then the whole thing collapses. Your Haribo Dhamma Ghosh. The Tusk, a poem by Naranarayan Vishwakarma Das.
Read it
This-
strongly, okay?
Before entering the arena of the GBC, where mercy and compassion for the fallen conditioned soul does not exist, turning to our original guru, Sri Guru Tattva himself, Lord Balaram, I ask, may I borrow that huge and bleeding tusk brought by you into the arena of Kamsa, the tusk of the elephant Kuvaliyapida? I will carry it in your name into the arena. Of the despoilers of our beloved master. Armed with this tusk, I will address those in the assembly. I will now speak things you may not want to hear. You may want to see me die, and if Krishna wants, that is all right. For I am just a confused and wretched demon, god brother of you all. We have equally received the mercy of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. Yet in 1970 he wrote, I have given you Vaikuntha, but you have turned it into hell. Now you run this movement as your private business. In the name of preaching, you are cashing in. I have come to warn you, but first I will show you up close the gushing blood of the tusk that I have borrowed. It is so heavy that I can barely walk. Praying for strength, I will bring it to you. Consider why it bleeds and where I got it from. I cannot deliver pure and sacred Shastra with my dying breath, as did Srila Prabhupada. But with my own last breath, I can warn you all with words that give you no choice but to obey. Neither I nor this tusk are moving until you agree. I will not go away. And even if you choose to kill me, your actions must outpace my words. I can speak so quickly before I die, things you do not want to hear. Certainly not from me, not at this time. So I am not moving from this place until things are put back as they were, and more importantly, as they were meant to be. What you do not complete, Lord Kala will complete. Your next birth will begin from where you are. Better to heed these words. Certainly it is not too late. Now look around you. Damagosh Prabhu stands with me here, and legions of others have come as well. You are surrounded in this arena. There is nowhere left to go. Empty out your pockets. Put that treasure on the altar of the Lord. Back away and take your seat upon the ground. We can sit down together. Srila Prabhupada says, make your valued comment. In this Istagosti, this tusk is now too heavy for me alone to hold. But if you do not agree, be warned. Neither I nor the menace of this grisly tusk will ever go away. We will be here relentlessly for the next 10,000 years.
All right. That was written in 2005. No, was it 2005? Yes, 2005. Now it is 2022. Interesting.
17 years later.
Yeah. So let's just kind of scroll through the poem here. So this was a email written from Damagosh to Narayan Prabhu. And Narayan Prabhu, you composed it in 2005, or did you already have?
No, I composed it in 2005 in response to Damagosh.
Oh, so it was not done beforehand. It was done in 2005.
No.
Okay. So let's go over the poem. I will read it and I will ask questions and raise comments and then try to invoke some.
Be sure to read it strongly.
Yes. Before entering the arena of the GBC. So let's define the arena of the GBC. What do you mean by the arena of the GBC? What they call GBC right now, it is not actually Srila Prabhupada's GBC. They're using just the words GBC to fool and mislead people. The original GBC responsibilities is written and signed directions is called the direction of management. And
right.
Srila
and
Prabhupada,
this is not what I'm talking about.
So what are you talking about here? Arena of the GBC. Are you talking about the present day GBC or Srila Prabhupada's original GBC?
2005 GBC. Can I read?
Sure.
Before entering the arena of the GBC, where mercy and compassion for the fallen does not exist, turning to our
original
Guru, Sri Guru Tattva himself, Lord Balaram, I ask, may I borrow that huge and bleeding tusk brought by you into the arena of Kamsa, the tusk of the elephant Kvalyapida. I will carry it in your name into the arena of the despoilers of our beloved spiritual master. Armed with this tusk, I will address those in the assembly. I will now speak things you may not want to hear. You may want to see me die, and if Krishna wants, that's all right. For I am just a confused and wretched demon, god brother of you all. We have equally shared the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Yet in 1970, he wrote, I have given you Vaikuntha, but you have turned it into hell. Can you sort of bring up it's sort of like not getting the full script on there.
Oh,
you have turned it into hell, but that doesn't have that part.
Oh, it has it on my screen. I have given you Vaikuntha, but you have turned
well,
it
maybe
into
I
hell.
can turn it sideways.
Yeah, you're on the phone, so it'll be a little
okay, I can do it.
Weird. Now you run this movement as a private business. That's where you are.
Okay, let's have the script again.
Okay. Here we go. It's on the screen, so you just have to swipe it if you don't have it. Swipe left, right to left, or left to right. You'll see it.
Well, it's not going sideways, unfortunately.
Yes, then you'll have to read like, okay, so let me zoom out. So maybe that will be better. Is this better?
Okay. Well, that's awkward. Okay, got it. Oh, I had it. Okay, there is the text. Make it bigger. Can't make it bigger. Well, maybe you should just continue reading.
Okay, so should I read or should we go back to the starting or what are we doing?
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay.
Let's see how it goes. I see that my charging cord is stuck under a box of books.
Now you run this movement as your private business. In the name of preaching, you're cashing in. I've come to warn you, but first I will show you up close the gushing blood of the tusk that I've borrowed. It is so heavy that I can barely walk. Praying for strength, I will bring it to you. Consider why it bleeds. Okay. And where I got it from. I cannot deliver pure and sacred Shastra with my dying breath, as did Srila Prabhupada, but with my own last breath, I can warn you all with words that give you no choice but to obey. Neither I nor the tusk are moving until you agree. I will not go away, and even if you choose to kill me, your actions must outpace my words. I can speak so quickly before I die. Things you do not want to hear, certainly not from me, not at this time. So I am not moving from this place until things are put back as they were, and more importantly, as they were meant to be. What do you not complete? What do you not complete? Lord Kala will complete. Your next birth will begin from where you are. Better to heed these words. And certainly it is not too late. Now look around you. Dhamma stands with me here, and legions of others have come as well. You are surrounded in this arena. There is nowhere left to go. Empty out your pockets. Put that treasure on the altar of the Lord. Back away and take your seat upon the ground. We can sit down together. Srila Prabhupada says, make your valued comment in this Ishtagoshti. This tusk is now too heavy for me alone to hold. But if you do not agree, be warned, neither I nor the menace of this grisly tusk will ever go away. We will be here relentlessly for the next 10,000 years. Okay. Do you see it on the screen now?
I can see it, yes.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, very interesting. So you wrote it in 2005, like you've said. So you're writing about this present day so-called GBC.
Well, I
Right.
wrote about it in 2005.
Yes, but it still applies now because the same system is working.
It applies even more so now.
Yeah. It has gotten more sophisticated. One thing I've noticed with in 2022, that they have created more and more bureaucratic acronyms: GBC, ICC, the Bureau, the Sabha, just to confuse people and bewilder them.
Well, to confuse people, yes.
And not only that, to cheat them and take their money. That's what it's all about eventually at the end.
Which is what they were doing in 2005 as well.
Yes. So now it has gotten, they have formed something called the GBC Strategic Planning Community. This is also another bogus organization, and they registered it. And so, a whole bunch of things have happened since 2005. Okay.
Does those things happen in 2005?
No, I said a whole bunch of new things have happened since 2005.
Oh, yeah, since 2005. Yes. Well, they have made a business, and they have made that business profitable.
Very much so. Okay, so.
But there are people that are now rebelling against that business, like Damagosh.
Yes.
Well, not Damagosh, I mean to say Bobby Hebert.
Yeah, where mercy and compassion for the fallen conditioned souls does not exist. I mean, how can anyone give compassion and mercy without following the instructions of the Acharya or the pure devotee? It's just a disturbance if you don't follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, right?
Right.
Turning to our original guru, Sri Guru Tattva himself. You mentioned this point here because Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is representing Lord Balaram as the autocratic chief authority.
Yeah, well, we're talking about Krishna and Balaram entering the arena of Kamsa, right?
Yes, in this, yes. Turning to the original.
In the arena of Kamsa, they came for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
Kamsa was of the clear opinion that he could do what the GBC is doing, which is completely bypass Krishna.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
No, if you want to bypass Krishna, take into account that Lord Krishna may not desire to be bypassed.
Yeah, it's just a temporary thing, that what they're doing before everything gets straightened out. I mean, I can draw from an example here. This the party of Duryodhan was only able to, disrupt Lord Krishna's plan. Well, it was seemingly disruptive, but it was actually all set up by Krishna himself. So it was.
Well, the scene was set up by Krishna.
Yes.
But they used their free will to create the problem that Krishna then solved by ripping off the tusk of Kuvalya Pita.
Yes, yes. So even that, you have a very limited scope of freedom, in disobedience also, before everything gets arranged properly. I mean, right? It's not an unlimited thing.
Put it this way, Kamsa set up a symbolic opposition to Krishna's transcendental dominance.
Well, yes, but Krishna gave him some time to act out his so-called dominance. He could have killed him immediately, but he did not. So it took some time for everything to happen.
But then when he did kill him, the significance was clearly established.
Yes. Yes. So that's what I'm saying, that this disobedience to the Acharya doesn't last too long. It'll fade out. It just seems like it right now.
It lasts as long as it is allowed to last, right?
Yes, exactly.
It could last for 8,000 years, or it could last for 100 years.
Yeah, but not eternally. Yes.
No, not even throughout the duration of the golden age of Kali.
Yeah.
Because in the golden age of Kali, it has to be rectified and rectified sooner rather than later.
Yeah, there's a one point that I like to mention here. Yesterday, I was reading a book by what's that devotee's name? Mula Prakriti or Mula something?
Mula Prakriti.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she compiled a book of Srila Prabhupada's associates, and then she gave a description of who was the sannyas guru of His Divine Grace. It was
Which
Rupa-
divine grace?
A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Srila Prabhupada.
Keshava.
Oh yeah, Keshava Maharaj. So when the court cases happened after the disappearance of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada and Keshava Maharaj, they were exposing, the cheating and lying in the Gaudiya Math. How they were sending how family members were taking the money from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's institution and having their kids become lawyers and barristers.
Well, that was Kunja Babu.
Yeah.
That was Tirtha Maharaj. He wanted to control the Yogapeeth. And
Yes.
to control the Yogapeeth, he used money to make his sons into barristers, so he would not have to hire barristers to fight his godbrothers.
Yeah.
He had it all plotted out how he wanted to do it.
He had
You
already
okay? You need help?
he had already figured out how he's going to do that by thinking up ahead, how he's going to do it.
Oh, he had it all planned out. And when people came to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and complained, "Are you okay?" Oh, kisses, go with Kuba. You can come back and get her, I think. Anyhow,
Yeah.
when you came back to what was I saying?
When they came
Oh.
back, how Kunja Babu was. Oh yes, how they complained about Kunja Babu when he was a good manager. That would.
Oh yeah. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, how could I get a better person to run the Gaudiya Math than him?
Yeah, even though he was.
Saying that he's screwing everybody over. He's a thief. He's a gangster. He said, yes, but he's earning it. And so the actual fact was that Tirtha Maharaj ended up with the Yogapeeth, but he couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
His idea was he wanted to put like a turnstile at the beginning of the Yogapeeth and have anybody that wanted to have darshan of Lord Chaitanya's birth site would have to pay a fee that his sons, the attorneys, barristers would figure out how it would work. But when it came down to it, it didn't work out that way at all. In 1971, when I went there to stay in the Mayapur, I would walk down to the Yogapeeth, no turnstiles, nothing. And they were eager to sell me books by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur because nobody else was likely to buy them.
Yeah.
So that's what this sort of cheating propensity does.
Yeah. Nowadays in ISKCON, they have like 40 lawyers or something, some huge amount of lawyers, 20 or something.
What?
For
They're
what?
not going to be able to destroy Lord Chaitanya's movement.
Obviously, these
They
lawyers.
just think they can.
Yeah.
That's what we have to understand, is that we are not fighting. What we're fighting is what we're fighting. What are we fighting? We're fighting that people, if they want to control the Yogapeeth, they can do that. So Prabhupada writes the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He writes the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Hmm.
So what can they do to do better than that? They've never done anything better than that.
Yeah. Try.
So that's what's going on.
Let's see here. Sri Guru touched by himself. Lord Balaram, my ass. Okay, there's some comments here. Let me share some comments from our
Absolutely.
devotees online. Here, 1 second here. Hmm. Krishna. Okay. Okay, here Peter Prabhu's made several comments.
Your friend Peter?
Yeah,
Okay.
Peter's made some comments, and there's some other comments. Peter is saying Jai Srila Prabhupada Jai poem, and someone here is saying Asura Deva Jai, poisoned by Putana, gored by Kuvalyapida. Yes, Peter is saying his name was Keshav Maharaj. And Peter is the sannyas guru for sannyas giver, or whatever you want to call him, sannyas agent for Srila Prabhupada. And Bhakta Peter Prabhu is saying also Nisimha Swami did a good video about ISKCON, Radhanath Swami, and Bhima. Arishta Prabhu is watching. Hare Krishna.
Jai Arista Prabhu.
Jai. And there is Prabhu are suing. Okay. Peter Prabhu is also saying, Prabhu, they are suing Sri Radha Damodar in Vrindavan. Court case going on for so many years. It's beyond ridiculous. I think Peter at one time went to Vrindavan and he stayed there, so he has some insight about what's going on. And
Why are they doing that? Who's doing that?
I think it was the ISKCON people. I'm not sure. There was something. There was some news the other day, a few months back, a few weeks back, that Srila Prabhupada's room in Radha Damodar was engulfed in a fire. So I'm not sure how true this is, but maybe if someone is watching, they
It's really
can.
hard to engulf a cement or masonry building room in fire. So it meant the contents were burned.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I heard about it. Peter said, I will share the video. Let's see what Peter Prabhu
That's great.
hears. Okay. Robert, Rupa, any comments, questions, realizations for today's meeting?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Rupa, anything? Manjari Prabhu?
Well, that was a really amazing poem by Narayan.
Yeah.
God, Prabhu. Thank you.
2005, 2022, huh? Try.
Yeah, 17 years ago.
Try.
And it seemed like Dhamma Ghosh was friends with you back then, but I don't think he still is. Is that correct?
I suppose. I don't know what he is.
Mahaprabhu, welcome to the meeting. Mahaprabhu is here. I think he might be driving. So,
And
Well-
tell Mahaprabhu I want to speak with him privately regarding my hearing aids
sure.
at some
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
all I need to know from him is when is he going to be in his place of practice?
Mhm. At his ashram. We call it his ashram.
Yeah.
Every day except Sunday and Monday. Prabhu's.
Every day except Sunday and Monday?
Yes.
Well, maybe I can come up, take the bus out there tomorrow.
I'll come pick you up if you want.
Oh, sorry, Narayan Prabhu, I accidentally muted you. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, just click on unmute.
Hare Krishna, I'm driving, so I'm listening in. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Hare Krishna, you're welcome, Prabhu, anytime. Okay, can you unmute yourself again? I accidentally clicked ask to unmute. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Jai.
All right, sorry about that. Okay. So, I'd like to read a piece by Ishan Prabhu, your god brother Narayan Prabhu.
Oh yeah, I noticed that he had written something, and didn't get a chance to read it. So
Yes, yes. We'll go over that real quick here. 1 second here. Okay. Devotees, if they'd like to join, okay. Okay, let's see here. Send it. Reply. Okay, 1 second, Prabhu. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Read more.
that's really good.
Okay. Where is it? It's not this one. 1 second, Prabhu. It's a different one.
Mhm.
There we go. Here we are. So anyone can email us also if they want, and then we can read their writings
Excellent.
on
We want a dynamic interchange.
Joy. That's exactly what we want. So anybody. Okay, I have it here now. Let me put it up on the screen. Come on. Okay. It's not working, but we'll make it work. Here we go.
Did you find it?
Yes, here it is.
Great.
So Ishan Prabhu writes his realization, and then he, Ishan Prabhu gives a translation excerpt from Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam. Here is the verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, 2:18.
Do you want Rupa to read it?
Yes, Rupa, can you, Prabhu?
Sure. As indicated here by the word Manastaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was transferred from the core of Vasudev's mind or heart to the core of the heart of Devaki. We should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devaki not by the ordinary way for a human being, but by Diksha initiation. Thus, the importance of initiation is mentioned here. Unless one is initiated by the right person, who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead, One cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. Commenting upon this verse, Sri Viraraghava Acharya writes, Vasudeva Devaki Jatarayor Hridayayor Bhagavata Sambandha. The Supreme Lord's entrance into the womb of Devaki from the heart of Vasudeva was a heart-to-heart relationship. And he comments, my understanding is as follows. Srila Prabhupada is explaining the real meaning of initiation by this example. He is saying, quote, thus the importance of initiation is mentioned here, end quote. In other words, Srila Prabhupada is saying that initiation is the beginning of a heart-to-heart relationship with the spiritual master. Just as Srila Prabhupada's heart is inconceivably open to all of us with boundless love, so also, if the devotee can meet Srila Prabhupada with an open heart full of love and enter into a heart-to-heart relationship, one will acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. Initiation is the beginning of such a relationship, the starting point for our cultivation of Krishna consciousness. This does not mean that everyone is understanding in this way, but Srila Prabhupada is making the point in order that we come to the real understanding of our relationship with our spiritual master for our eternal well-being. This is not secret or confidential information. This is Srila Prabhupada's last words of instruction to all of us in his Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, shortly before his departure.
Wow. Jai.
Wow.
Pretty powerful stuff, huh?
Yeah,
Yes.
very.
Very nicely explained. Prabhupada says so many things, but look what he's writing here. Yeah, very, very clear on who is a bona fide spiritual master or who is a guru, So, yeah, so Ishan Prabhu is a wonderful personality that I've been talking to, and he sends me this kinds of writings.
Yeah,
So
that's wonderful.
Now, Narayan Prabhu, would you like to comment on his realization and a verse?
Well, I wasn't able to follow it exactly, but the basic idea of the spiritual master is that he is descended from Krishna Loka on the desire of Krishna. Because he comes down from Krishna Loka by Krishna's desire. That means that he is able to bring us back to home, back to Godhead. The whole thing is that as soon as someone shows up, like Jesus or Moses or someone like that, we immediately want to cover it all up so that we can make a big killing for ourselves. But that's not acceptable. We can't do that. We cannot do that intelligently or at all.
Yeah. So we're out of luck on that part.
Well, we are in luck in that we can't do it, that we're not doing it. So
Yes.
It's not luck for us to, no, it's our luck that we can see that the pure devotee is not what people think he is, which is simply a man from Bengal that lived and preached from the scriptures and worked things out to his best ability and then died. If that were the case, then the pure devotee would, the meaning of the pure devotee would mean exactly nothing.
We are here at a unique point in history, in time, and
Okay.
because Prabhupada just appeared and he's still here. His instructions is here, his audio is here, his kirtans is here. Is it because we're here at this time right now, we're taking it for granted that such an opportunity is here, and we're taking it as some ordinary course of events. Some ordinary person has appeared.
We are, or others are?
Oh, well, not. I mean, the general masses of people. We're here trying to understand these things, but most people do not. Like the common
We
folks
don't
in
have to
ISKCON.
understand Prabhupada.
No,
We just need to surrender to Prabhupada and realize what his sound vibration is giving us on the topmost platform, like that recording from 1966. If we want to know what kirtan is, that's kirtan. You know, it's not that we have to figure anything out. There's nothing mental to be done at all. Zero. When we want to go back to Godhead, we have to choose. Well, people have to choose, do they want to go back to Godhead? But so far, people are making up a business out of it and do not want to go back to Godhead. It just seems obvious, doesn't it?
yeah.
So we don't want to go back to Godhead is extremely easy. It is hearing the lips of the Maha Mantra from the lips of the pure devotee of the Lord for full effect to be achieved. Chanting from the lips of non-devotees should be avoided as much as milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effect. That's on the other side of that album. We're not trying to create a pretend or historic or Hindu or traditional configuration. We are establishing that the pure devotee, sound vibration coming from the lips of the pure devotee is perfection.
Well, I mean, people think that the sound vibration from the pure devotee and something from Radhanath is on the same platform, or someone else.
If they think like that, then how can they do that? I mean, what's the basis of thinking like that?
That's what I'm saying. They don't have a proper understanding about.
No. I mean, if you read Radhanath's autobiography, he was living with yogis up in caves in the Himalayas.
I mean,
and then he came down to Prabhupada in Bombay preaching, and he realized that is all he needs. But
half of that stuff is probably bogus. You know, I don't.
Well, not completely bogus. Bogus enough, because we can say completely bogus, and that would mean no Prabhupada at all.
No, Prabhupada at all. But you know what he has written about the content of. I was meditating in some cave, and then I came down and I saw Srila Prabhupada. Then I met Mother Teresa. It's just all a bunch of. You know.
Well, yes, but we can understand that he wanted to surrender. He wanted to become transported by Prabhupada to the transcendental platform. That's what he wanted. But how he went about it did not do the job. Because in the end, he wanted to become a guru.
Ultimately, yes, that's the case.
Ultimately, he wanted to become a guru.
Yeah.
But he was not meant to be a guru. He was meant to be a disciple. If he had stuck with being a disciple, he could have done so much good for Krishna consciousness movement, because he was mystical. He was Krishna. But I don't remember. Did he go back to New Vrindavan after he was hanging out in the mountains with the yogis?
I'm not really sure of his history. Yeah, so I don't know.
Right, but I would imagine that was the case. So he went back to America. He came to New Vrindavan, and then he came involved with Kirtanananda.
He was always involved with Kirtanananda from the beginning. What? I said he was always involved with Kirtanananda from the beginning. So
before he went up into the mountains?
Oh, I mean, after I think he came back from the mountains, he got involved in New Vrindavan in
Yeah,
the
and
70s.
that because everyone was considering that Kirtananda was a pure devotee, surely if he was a pure devotee, he would have seen with his own eyes that Kirtananda was not a pure devotee. He was a homosexual pedophile
Hmm.
whose partner, Hayagriva, was his sexual partner.
So that raises a question. Hayagriva and this Kirtananda are known. You can say they did wonderful service, and Prabhupada accepted it, and then they went back to their old habits, and they came back. Srila Prabhupada accepted them. So the nature of the pure devotee is, does he overlook all of the faults of the disciple? And
Well, that's an interesting thing. He did not overlook. He took Kirtananda to India with him. And then he told Kirtananda to go to England and start preaching there.
But he did not go, I think. Yes.
But he did not go. He came back to New York and began to try to teach all the devotees in the temple to not wear neck beads, not wear sikas, not wear dhotis, and like that. So what happened with that is, and there's a lot of misunderstanding there. Prabhupada was not fooled by anybody, even for a second. But Kirtananda wanted to become involved. Look what he did, was he took this homosexual guy from the East Village of New York and brought him. He brought him over to. He brought him over to becoming a devotee, but he didn't make him a sannyasi right away. He wanted him to do what he asked him to do. But when he came back and started doing all of this nonsense at the temple, and he told the devotees, don't pay attention to Kirtananda, don't follow him. He's not operating on the right platform. So what happened? When Prabhupada came back, he gave him sannyas. And we said, why would he give Kirtananda sannyas? Well, he figured Kirtananda would be able to organize, and he did organize Vrindavan. Now, what else could he do? What were Prabhupada's options? Throw him out in the street?
Yeah, that's a very good point from the other side, that, Kirtananda had rendered some service, and then he went off the rails, and then Prabhupada strategically gave him sannyas to, give him some authority to preach and establish New Vrindavan.
But his service, I mean, you have rendered service. I mean, I've rendered service. That's not the point, you see.
What is the point you're trying to make here? That is,
the point is that he could either kick Kirtananda out, which would mean that a lot of devotees would not join, or he could keep Kirtananda there. So he and Hayagriva went off to West Virginia after Kirtananda became after Kirtananda had gone into the process of not obeying Prabhupada's orders and not wearing a dhoti and all that. Well, Prabhupada told him to to straighten up. So what did Kirtananda do? He and Hayagriva stole Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita manuscript.
Hmm.
Right? You're aware of that, right? Correct? They stole Prabhupada's
Yes.
manuscript.
Yes.
And then what did they do? They took the manuscript into West Virginia and they leased a farm where they were going to start their own movement in their own way, according to their own standard. And they sent Prabhupada if you're good at spelling, they sent to Srila Prabhupada a letter on a letterhead that was First United Church of Krishna. Can you figure out what that spells? First United Church for Krishna, and then YOU, something else. That's what he wrote to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada didn't bat an eye. He just let them do what they were doing. At some point, they wanted to have Prabhupada come there and help them out. They weren't able to do anything. They weren't able to get any followers. So I'm not sure which year that was, but I know that when I went there first in 1968, they had started reuniting with Srila Prabhupada in a very strange, macabre way. And then when I came there in 1969 to make deities or whatever Prabhupada wanted me to do, I went up there and they were already basically ready to accept Prabhupada as their spiritual master.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So the FUCKYOU turned into them accepting Prabhupada. But did they turn back? Did they give back the manuscript that Hayagriva was editing? No, they hung on to it. So Prabhupada came up in April. I was up there, and Prabhupada came up in April of 1969 to New Vrindavan. He didn't bat an eye. He would give classes. He did everything just as though it were a regular ISKCON temple. And Kirtananda would lead good kirtans. Hayagriva would give lectures and stuff like that. And they just went ahead with it. I wasn't aware of all of the stuff in the background, but I didn't know that Hayagriva had still stolen Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. But we did read from the manuscript of the Bhagavad Gita as it is in the classes. In other words, it was manuscripts taken from the tapes, and we read from those. We conducted class from those. Prabhupada didn't bat an eye, and so he stayed there for some time in West Virginia, and he treated them as though they were spirit soul. That's sort of amazing, no? If he had been a didactic person, he would have gone up there with a pistol and shot them all. But he didn't. And I remember one of the most amazing things I can recall of that visit to Srila Prabhupada. Did you ever see a picture of Patita Pavana and Prabhupada sitting behind a little table on a hillside?
I might have. Yes, I might have. I've seen all the archived pictures.
Yeah, well, Prabhupada was sitting behind it. I made that table from a plank from the barn with firewood, tapered down firewood to make the legs. And Patita Pavana's in the picture. I'm trying to remember her name.
Arundhati?
Arundhati, yeah, that's probably, thank you. Do you know Arundhati? Are you familiar with a picture with Arundhati in it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yes.
And they're sitting on the hillside. And Prabhupada was talking to everybody. And people were saying, well, can you see Krishna? And he looked around with astonishment. He said, yes, why not? He is everywhere. So this is the atmosphere it was. It was very transcendental mood that Prabhupada created.
Right.
And we had no money or anything like that.
Hare Krishna.
And that's when he gave me the title Vishwakarma. Don't tell Bobby he read that. He gave him the title Vishwakarma. Because I was fixing in that time, I was fixing his suitcase that his servant, oh my God. He
Pradumna?
came, what?
Pradumna?
No, not Purdue. It was,
That guy, yes, yes. What's his name? Your friend.
he later on died in India.
Died in India? Sudama?
Who? Who?
Sudama?
Not Sudama.
Died in
Sudama was
India.
there though. What?
Died in India? I don't know what servant
Yeah,
died.
died in India. Yeah. He left
John?
and got stoned on heroin and
Oh,
they
no
put
idea.
his body in a garbage heap.
Oh,
Anyhow, these things happen. So he was there and he told me to fix put locks on Prabhupada's suitcase. And he said, you only have a short time to do it because Prabhupada is going in this morning walk. And when he comes back, you had better have it finished. So I did that. I was working as fast as I could in a terror that Prabhupada would come in the room. But what I didn't know was raining outside and Prabhupada couldn't go on his walk. So after 15, 20 minutes, Prabhupada came back in. And he came into his room up in the attic and I nearly had a heart attack because the guy, he was into the wheatgrass lady. I don't know if you remember.
And Wigmore.
Yeah, Anne Wigmore was the wheatgrass lady, but who was the devotee who was Prabhupada's servant at the time? He was actually growing wheatgrass and feeding it to Srila Prabhupada, the juice to Srila Prabhupada. Devananda. I think his name was Devananda. So, and Prabhupada came in, and I was in a state of terror because he said, Prabhupada will be enraged if you're not finished. And I was only halfway through. So I was working very, very hard to complete it. And then Prabhupada looked at me and said, they should call you. And I couldn't understand. I'm hearing impaired, and Prabhupada's accent was such. So I just sort of smiled and kept on working feverishly. They should call you. I couldn't understand again. And then finally he spoke clearly. He said, they should call you Vishwakarma. I said, oh. I smiled at him, you know. He said, do you know who is Vishwakarma? And all I could think of was that Vishwakarma must be a guy who set out to do the job and didn't get it completed when before Prabhupada came back on his walk. So he said, so he was talking like that, and I was working feverishly. And he said, do you know what is Vishwakarma? And I said, no, Srila Prabhupada. And he said, I think he said master of all trades or something of that sort.
Interesting.
And I said, I replied to him, I said, oh, you mean jack of all trades? I don't know how that went exactly. And Prabhupada said to me, no, he said, master of all trades. So here I was not getting the job done being compared to a demigod named Vishwakarma, not knowing what to do next, except possibly cut my throat if I had anything sharp enough to do it with. And so then he sat there and loudly said, "They should call you Vishwakarma." I said, "Oh." And I said, "Jack of all trades, you mean?" And I forget exactly when he said, "No, master of all trades."
Mhm.
So there I was doing a crude job, putting locks on his suitcases. And now I've been promoted to being master of all trades. So when I finished the locks and I came over and sat near Prabhupada, and he was sitting near the stairway coming up from the ground. It was a sort of a curved, very narrow stairway. And Pradyumna came up and stuck his head over the top of the edge. And Prabhupada looked at Pradyumna and said, "They should call him Vishwakarma." And Pradyumna always wanted to have notes written down as to whatever Prabhupada said, because if he went downstairs and couldn't remember, they would kill him, or would try to kill him at least. And he whipped out his notepad and he started writing, Vishwakarma. You named him Narayan Das, and now he's named Vishwakarma. This is the first time you've ever changed someone's initiated name. And Prabhupada said, "No, not name, title," he said, gesturing grandly at me. "Title like PhD."
Mm.
So I was thunderstruck,
Sure.
as was Pradyumna. He wrote it down. But anyhow, that's the story, how I got the title of Vishwakarma. But mainly that's what it was like in Vrindavan when Kirtanananda and Hayagriva were busy being against Prabhupada. And this is how Prabhupada handled it, just with utter elegance and genteel. Now, Devananda could not possibly do anything like that.
Mm.
He just wouldn't be able to. He did a lot of great stuff. Under his direction, they built the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, but he had no way of understanding things like what Prabhupada had said. So anyhow, I stayed with the title Vishwakarma like PhD until the very moment today.
Right.
And Bobby Hebert really didn't like it when I was given a title Vishwakarma, because that was his initiated name. So anyhow, is there anything else you wanted to ask?
Nope. Anyone have any questions here, Bruce? Or
Nope.
online? Nope, not yet. Okay.
Okay, well, there is one thing I'd like to mention about Prabhupada in that place.
Yes.
I mean, you would think they were probably trying to kill Prabhupada and take over the movement, right?
Yes.
That's the way FUCKYOU sort of thing implies. I remember walking outside on a very nice hot day. Prabhupada was lying on a chadar on the side of the road. His dhoti had sort of like blown up in the wind, and you could see his private parts very clearly revealed.
Hmm.
Now, can you imagine what it would take for a devotee, a pure devotee, to put himself in the position of being at the mercy of those murderous people, lying there and just sleeping without fear? And when that table was up and we were sitting there, people said, "Oh, Prabhupada, can you see Krishna?" And he said, "Yes, of course." He said, "Where is Krishna?" "He's everywhere, in the trees, everywhere around here." And Prabhupada said, and they said to Prabhupada, "Can you see him?" And Prabhupada looked with great astonishment from behind that little table and said, "Yes, you cannot see?" Like that. Can you imagine? So that's how Prabhupada created the movement. And so Kirtanananda was given sannyas. Why? He was given sannyas because he was creating great offenses. And Prabhupada gave him sannyas. And then he was able to go to Vrindavan. And that's what happened with the four
Sannyasis.
devotees that said that Prabhupada was God. Prabhupada heard them saying Prabhupada is God. Instead of casting them out of the movement, which would have been a horrible thing because Gargamuni, Brahmananda, Vishnujan, the great and beloved Vishnujan, and Subal, no, he gave them sannyas. And they kept sannyas basically for the rest of their endurance within ISKCON. So do you see, that's how Prabhupada did things. Does that make sense?
You didn't finish about how Prabhupada got his manuscript back.
Oh, well, he didn't get his manuscript back.
Did he rewrite?
No, he left it with Hayagriva. And then he came and left and went to Pittsburgh or wherever he went after that.
How did he get it back? His manuscript.
How did he get it back? He asked Hayagriva to come to Los Angeles, and Hayagriva did. And is that what you recall, Rupa Manjari?
I don't remember. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. So he came to Los Angeles, and he gave the manuscript to Srila Prabhupada. Short time later, that blue Gita was published. And then after that, the next Gita was published.
Oh, wow.
The blue Gita was edited by Ray Rama, who
Oh,
was a practicing homosexual.
Hmm.
And not that Kirtananda and Hagriva were not practicing homosexuals. But in any event, in the end, Prabhupada said we should not ever read that blue Gita again. They republished it without knowing about Prabhupada, what Prabhupada said. They said they should not read it because they said they had put in some Mayavada conclusions. So anyhow, then as soon as that was over, they took the real Gita, edited by Hayagriva, and gave it to Macmillan. And you know, Hayagriva and Kirtananda had gone to Macmillan and others with the Bhagavad Gita as it is, manuscript, saying that they had done the translation and that they had done the editing. And nobody believed them. But when Prabhupada sent it to Macmillan, the publishing company, they believed him. And they published it. So it came out, I think, in 1971.
try.
Picture.
Let me see if there's any comments online, Prabhu. 1 second.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, there's no comments or questions.
None?
I said there's no comments or questions on YouTube.
How terrible.
Well, here's a picture of our friend. Show it to you.
Who's that? Is that Vishwakarma Das?
Yes, Vishwakarma Prabhu and Bibi Govinda Swami.
Aha. Who was B.B. Govinda Goswami initiated by?
I think he was a devotee that Vishwakarma Prabhu, during Vishwakarma Prabhu's reign as temple president, when he was the temple president.
Yeah.
And
Jai. I hope that wasn't too long a dissertation.
Oh, that's fine. Everything is being put online, so the longer the better. Makes people go to sleep. I said, if it makes people go to sleep, the better. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Okay, let me see if we have any messages on Facebook. Hmm. Okay. Mm. What's going on here? Okay, Rupa Manjari shared a post. I just want to look this up and I will share it.
Joy. Rupa Manjari, thank you so much for everything you contributed tonight.
Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. Bhagavatam 4:29:51. 4:29. There we go, I think. Okay, this is what Rupa Manjari shared. I like to put it up there. This is something of interest to everyone. Okay, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, 29th chapter, verse 51.
Joy.
It is here. Well, I just like to emphasize this part here, which I saw. The conclusion is that one cannot become a spiritual master unless he is a pure devotee of the Lord.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah. Huh? The conclusion is that one cannot become a spiritual master unless he is a pure devotee of the Lord.
And that's the thing with these bogus gurus, is that they may be posing as gurus, but they're reluctant to state that they're a pure devotee.
Yeah, and that's a very good point that you have made, because at one time Acharya Rishi was saying, Prabhupada, I saw you in my dream that you're a bona fide spiritual master, this, that, this. He said, it doesn't matter what you see in your dream, you know. I am a pure devotee, he was saying, you know, implying
Yeah.
that he was not so concerned about his dream or, you know, what he saw.
Right.
So here is very clear. The conclusion is that one cannot become a spiritual master unless he is a pure devotee of the Lord.
Now, in the case of Siddha Swarup Ananda, Siddha Swarup, who became Siddha Swarup Ananda, somebody was complaining, Prabhupada, Siddha Swarup has brought you like 100 of his disciples to surrender to you. And but they still consider him to be their guru. So what can we do? And in that letter, Prabhupada said, if they consider him to be their guru, and he is surrendered to me and considers me to be his spiritual master, then it's the same thing. It's a tricky situation. But what we have in ISKCON is no one is claiming that they are surrendered to Prabhupada. They want to say, my disciples are surrendered to me, end of story. You know?
Mm.
Now, if somebody one of the, whether it's Satsvarup or somebody else said, I am not qualified, therefore I've surrendered to Prabhupada. But if you know, he said, but we are surrendering to you, Satsvarup. That's not a good example because he was an old timer, but we surrendered to you, not to Prabhupada. Well, if you surrender to me and I surrender to Prabhupada, then you will get the benefit of being surrendered to Prabhupada. But that's not what's happening.
Absolutely not.
You agree?
Yeah, I mean, if someone like you, Narayan Prabhu, says, okay, you should surrender to Srila Prabhupada and I'm following Srila Prabhupada, what's the difference? A neophyte might not know the history or, some things about the movement they can ask you. And in this way, you can convey to them the truth. And that does not make you a Diksha Guru. You're just, being a transparent via medium to the Acharya, meaning that, okay, this is what happened and this is how Prabhupada dealt with it.
No, he's not even transparent via medium. He surrendered to Prabhupada.
Yeah.
He had temples all over the world. Yeah, Sita Swarupananda did.
How
Oh,
do we
Sita
surrender to Prabhupada?
Swarupananda. He had all of these temples all over the world, and his disciples really saw him as the perfection. And so Prabhupada didn't say, tell them that's bogus and that they have to surrender only to me. He said, if they surrender to you and you're surrendered to me, then that's good. But you know what happened is the GBC came in and refused to accept him.
yeah.
Because he was too good. He was better than they were.
Well, anyone who's better or, more intelligent or, more knowledgeable and more sincere, they don't last too long in ISKCON because.
No, they don't. I remember I was with Srila Swarupananda in Mayapur on the roof
Yeah.
of those long buildings that I designed in London. And he was on the roof and he was very, very upset and bitter. And he was exercising with nimchucks. And I started talking with him, but I could understand that they were out to get him, out to get him because they didn't want somebody of his quality because they didn't have that level of quality.
Mm.
They didn't want
Ramachandra.
somebody more. I'm sorry, Rupa?
Oh, I was just looking at what Ramachandra put on the screen, and Prabhupada says, so there is no doubt about it that I am the representative of God. That's pretty amazing.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to about the dream.
Because Prabhupada characteristically does not claim his own position like that.
Yeah, so you see it here that he is saying this outright, So this is recorded and archived. And then Prabhupada says, either you dream or not, I claim.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
So
Yeah.
this is what I was referring to, that someone saw a dream of Srila Prabhupada as a bona fide acharya, and then Prabhupada is saying, either you dream or not, I claim, and there's no
Yeah.
doubt that I'm a representative of God.
Well, that's why we're playing that original Hare Krishna happening record. It's not the original chanting, but it is the original recording, basically.
Yes.
And the reason we're playing it is that it is without being attacked from the outside by the GBC. After 1970, the GBC wanted to be in charge. And when I was in Bengal, in Calcutta, you had people like the great Yasodanandan there, and they were jumping up and down and chanting any damn melody they made up or got from the Gaudiya Math, or got from Achyutananda Swami, who told them that these Gaudiya Math melodies were bona fide and the Prabhupads were like Mary had a little lamb for the spiritual advancement of his own disciples. So he completely destroyed everything. And then people like Yasoda and the others went to different places and started their own style of kirtan in each temple, because they began to realize if we're big shots in our own temple, well, in the end, we'll become gurus. They were already in 1970 thinking along those lines. It's so sickening. I was there. If I had only had the vision, forward vision, to pick up a club and beat them all to death, I would have been much better off. But I didn't. I just watched them, and Prabhupada would sit there. There'd be a whole group of people jumping up and down, and Prabhupada would give a lecture. Then they'd come up and start Guru Kripa also. They'd all be jumping up and down in front of Prabhupada, chanting these disgustingly ugly melodies. And Prabhupada would be bent over, playing kartals almost silently, chanting imperceptibly. He didn't follow their melodies. But what could he do? If I had known what I know now, I would have said, stop. The lecture's over, let Prabhupada lead the kirtan. But they were all bigger shots than I was, unfortunately. Or so it seemed at the time.
All right. So who's the guru? Srila Prabhupada.
No kidding.
Hysteria.
And we were completely saturated with Achyutananda teaching us all sorts of kirtans that he'd gotten from the Gaudiya Math, that he'd gotten from Bengali fishermen, that he'd gotten from the bowels of Bengal, that he'd gotten from the homosexuals that have Sankirtan parties.
I said all glories to Achyutanandana Prabhu, but who is anyone to replace Srila Prabhupada's kirtan? Prabhupada is specifically empowered and coming from Krishna Loka to...
It wasn't hard for Achyutananda to convince all of the leaders that Prabhupada just gave them these Mary had a little lamb, Hare Krishna, like that was not supposed to be chanted.
No, but
he taught us that because we couldn't do any better on our own.
I mean, not to disrespect Achyutanandana Prabhu, but just a few years before that.
Please disrespect Achyutananda. Go ahead.
No, I said not to disrespect Achyutananda Prabhu's service, but just a few years before that, what kind of person he was. Now he's replacing Srila Prabhupada's kirtans. I mean, doesn't it sound a little...
Well, you know what happened. He came over with Prabhupada. Prabhupada told him to not go to Madhava Maharaj. And in the end, he told him to go to Sridhar Maharaj. He said at least he follows the regulative principles. That's what he said to Achyutananda. But then when Achyutananda, the Vaishnava songbook?
Yes, you have told this incidents before, yes.
Yeah, well, I'll just mention quickly that he asked Prabhupada to write a foreword to it. And so Prabhupada did. But then when he had the book ready to publish, he brought the book to brought it to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, this is no good. You cannot publish it. You know what Achyutananda said? Can you?
Too bad.
Too bad, I already did.
Well, Prabhupada has purports to his own songs, so a lot of songs, Prabhupada's songs, which, yes.
Achyutananda changed the translations and changed the purports.
Yeah, but in the songs that Prabhupada has written, he himself is giving the translation and commentary. So,
but they're not in Achyutananda's book.
Yeah, not in Achyutananda's book. Yes, we have to stick to Prabhupada's audio for the translations, for the bonus.
Karuna Pracho.
Hi.
That was done by Prabhupada, but
Mm.
it should have try to change that too. That appeared in the book.
Well, this change business has been going on. I mean, Prabhupada says this change is your Western disease. Actually, he says that.
Well, yeah, but Achutananda's disease was worse than that. So I was looking over the translations of the Acharyas verses, and I said to Chidananda, you changed all of these. Why did you change them?
What did
And he said,
Maharaj
well,
say?
what?
I said, what did Maharaj say?
I don't think it was a Maharaj yet. So he said, Prabhupada didn't translate them properly.
Hmm.
Can you imagine? You have a spiritual master and you say he didn't translate properly?
Doesn't sound like, a disciple.
Hari Hari Bi Fale, like that. He made up his own translations.
Hmm.
Although actually what he did was he made accurate Bengali translations. Prabhupada wrote the translations Prabhupada gave were the mood of the Acharya, not necessarily an accurate word for word translation. You see, so if you want to say that Chudananda was right, well, he was right in that Prabhupada didn't translate according to word for word, but he did translate gorgeously. And when he chanted his own versions and gave the translation gorgeously, no, I should have killed him. My God, why didn't I kill him?
Anyways, we have some comments from Aristo Prabhu.
Jaya Vishnu Prabhu.
Rupa, can you take over the questions from Aristo Prabhu?
Sure.
Thank you.
If a devotee is born with a birth defect, disability, or other anomaly, hermaphroditism, blindness, club feet, etc., is it possible for them to return to Godhead in the next life in a perfect spiritual state if they reach a state of perfect Krishna consciousness? Are physical birth defects punishment for past life transgressions? A cycle of sowing and reaping?
Not necessarily. Like in the time of Lord Chaitanya, there were so many, like the 6 Goswamis, some of the 6 Goswamis had parasites crawling around inside of wounds on their body.
Right.
Now you might say that's a great defect, but it wasn't a great defect. This is a manjari from the spiritual sky. How can you say defect?
Yeah, that's a total different league that what we're conditioned to think.
Yeah, these demons have misunderstood everything.
Okay, Rupa, can you continue?
And then
Yes.
Achutananda left, gave up sannyas, went back to New York, and then ended up now in Alachua, not as a Swami.
Yes. Okay. So more questions
I'd
from
appreciate
Aristo.
if someone goes there and kills him. What?
Okay, so Harshu Gaming Exports says Hare Rama, and Aristophanes says deviant behaviors including drunkenness, sexual promiscuity, meat eating, etc., oftentimes result in disease and death. Is this the pure function of karma or a curse from past life unredeemed transgressions? Our beloved spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, called these things a hog's life in one of his lectures. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Yes, anyone who, are we talking about the great acharyas?
I think he's talking about
arms,
in
or are we talking about
general.
just ordinary people?
Just ordinary people who might be suffering from some sort of
Affliction.
affliction, yes.
No,
Generally-
anyone who's suffering from an affliction Oh, you might say, and they become a devotee?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if somebody's suffering from an affliction and they become a devotee, well, look, they are being punished for what they did in their past life.
Hmm.
Simple as that. Anyone, you, me also. Why not? We have our afflictions that we had, and we're trying to purify ourselves by the chanting of the holy name.
Yeah. We recently had one devotee mother die. She was 97 years old. Very long life. 96 years old. She was born in 19
Indian?
from Fiji, yeah. 1924.
Wow.
She was born in 1924 in Fiji, and they migrated to America some probably like 7 to 10 years ago. She was a
Okay, that's
disciple of
amazing.
yeah,
That's
she
a short time before her death, really.
huh? Yeah.
That's a short time before her death.
Are you talking about Sally Agarwal?
No. I'm talking about someone else here in Sacramento.
Okay, because Sally Agarwal passed on.
Oh no, I'm talking about a woman from Fiji. She was a devotee. Yeah, she joined in 1985, and she was 96 years old.
Wow.
Just,
Okay.
and
So what do you want to say about her?
I was going to imply that some of these devotees have good karma. They live a long time without any disease or without. They just come.
Well, yeah, it's the karma of long life.
Yes, yes.
Just long life is not an indicator of good karma, because if you don't become a devotee, if you don't surrender to Prabhupada in the process, then you hear the Hare Krishna mantra, you'll make advancement in your next birth.
Yes. And that's a
How do you
grand.
surrender to Prabhupada?
Okay, Robert's question is, how do you surrender to Srila Prabhupada?
How do you surrender to Srila Prabhupada?
Yes. that's the
Follow
question.
his instructions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
join the League for 10K, for God's sake. That's the whole thing we're doing here, is establishing a platform for surrender to Srila Prabhupada. Why? Because if we don't surrender to Prabhupada, who are we going to surrender to?
Does that in
Does
turn mean
anyone
that
have
we
an
surrender
idea?
to Krishna?
Robert, who will we surrender to if we don't surrender to Prabhupada?
Well, there's nobody.
No, I mean, but we could surrender to Radhanath, we could surrender to Kamal Krishna, we could surrender to Kirtananda. All these people we could have surrendered to, but if we don't, that means we can see that it is not the right person to surrender to, right?
So when we surrender to Prabhupada, does that mean in turn we surrender to Krishna?
I'm sorry, say again.
I said, if we surrender to Prabhupada, does that in turn mean that we surrender to Krishna?
Ramachandra, what do you think?
Of course.
It's the same thing, but because Prabhupada is a perfect link to Krishna. So if you follow Prabhupada's instructions, then you are automatically being linked up with Krishna.
Okay, thank you.
You
Hare
got it.
Krishna. Yeah, it's very simple. You
Yeah,
plug
there's
in.
nothing complicated again about surrendering to Prabhupada Krishna. We can read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita and of various other scriptures of all the ordeals people go through to surrender to Krishna. Yet, at the same time, we can understand that the act is the same. Surrendering to Krishna is surrendering to Krishna.
Yes. Especially nowadays, we're very fortunate to have, all this recordings, original books, and some of people like Narayan Prabhu. So take
People
advantage.
like Ramachandra Prabhu,
Take advantage while you can.
people like Rupa Manjari Prabhu.
Yes. So
Yeah, it's a question of what they call Siddhanta.
yes.
Oh, by the way, the sound is
I
really
mean-
diminished. Is there a reason for that?
My sound is not diminished. I can hear you just fine.
Well, I wish I could hear it.
Oh,
Yeah, I can.
Oh, yeah, I
hear you
can
fine,
now.
Ryan.
Just my hearing aid was wandering out of my ear.
okay. Yes, we're coming down to the wire. 4 minutes left. Let me just browse through all the comments. And Vishnu Prabhu saying, Hare Krishna, thank you. Krishna conscious devotees. All right, Aristo, thank you.
We are not Krishna conscious devotees. We are aspiring to be Krishna conscious devotees.
Jai, yeah.
If we were Krishna conscious devotees, we would be Prabhupada.
Yes. We're in the process. It may take some time.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what he said to me. And I nearly fainted when he said that. He said, I asked, is it possible I could become a pure devotee like you? That's what I wanted to know. I didn't want to say, oh, you're the guru. I'm not nobody. Oh, you're the guru. I'm nobody. I want to say, is it possible for me to become a pure devotee like you? I mean, why would I chant Hare Krishna if I didn't want to become a pure devotee like Prabhupada?
Jai.
And he said, why not? He said, you are in the process, but it may take some time. Well, that's fine with me. It can take 100 lifetimes or 1,000 lifetimes, but at least it will happen. That I want to know. That was the core issue of my question. So what are we doing now? Are there more questions or anything?
No, we were just winding out now. So let's see. No
We've
question.
got 2 minutes to go.
Yes. So Rupa Manjari Prabhu.
Is there a chance Mohit will kick in with us?
We'll see. Rupa Manjari is going to host on Sunday. And then we're trying to work out if Robert Prabhu can take one of the days. And then he can host the meetings. And then ask relevant questions, share his realizations, and then even broadcast. So,
Are you not going to be hosting, Ramachandra?
no, I will be hosting. I'm trying to give opportunity to Robert Prabhu to host.
We can open up more days, right?
Yes, open up more days.
Right now we have 2 days. We used to broadcast 7 days. Then it went down to 3, and now it's down to 2. Now it's, with Robert, we can go back up again.
Yes, definitely. So I will, since you got your phone back, I will coordinate with Robert Prabhu and yourself, Narayan Prabhu, to set up a date or set up a day where he can.
Thanks to Kuva Prabhu, I have my phone not only back, but also worked out in such a way that I can
Jai,
utilize
Prabhu. Hare
Zoom
Krishna.
session. There's still things to be worked out on it, but for the most part, it's working just fine. And I went from iPhone 11
Go ahead, Robert. Yes,
to
Robert.
an iPhone 13 Plus.
Yes, Robert Prabhu. Yes.
Can devotional service and preaching be? Can it get to a point where it's sense gratification?
Can it get to the point where what?
Where it's sense gratification.
No.
Anytime you're in Maya, you're in sense gratification.
Yeah,
Okay.
Devotional service is devoid of sense gratification.
But that doesn't mean that you have to be devoid of sense gratification to lead a Zoom call. It's just that you need to transcend it in order to work with Prabhupada's conclusions. Siddhanta.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock.
All right, Prabhus. Thank you for watching. Narayan Prabhu, Rupa Manjari, Robert, online
My
viewers.
obeisances to all of you. My obeisances
Krishna.
to Robert, and my obeisances to Aristophanes. Arista, my obeisances to him.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Right.
Please join the WhatsApp group if you'd like to stay in touch. We will go live again on Sunday. And if we have another day we can go live, we'll make a post in the WhatsApp group and on Facebook and YouTube so they can join.
Hare
Jai,
Krishna.
glories to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Glories
All
to
glories.
Prabhupada.
It's really the recordings that you make that are the real meeting. Otherwise, we're having nice sessions, But when people have that, people listen to those. I would say hundreds or even thousands of people have been listening to our recordings. You have any
Yeah.
way of knowing how many people are listening?
Our views are going up. So, there are people in the background who are watching, downloading, and sharing these videos. Robert, there's a devotee in Germany who cuts the videos down and shares it on his channel.
Is
And
that
thanks-
Dr. Robin?
Yes, Bhakti Robin, yes.
I
And-
wish we could hear Dr. Robin's voice.
Yeah, and plus we're not so concerned about right now. We're concerned about the future as well as right now. So
Yeah.
that's why everything is recorded and archived.
Well, when I get through this health issue to some
Sure.
degree, I want to get the website up and running with Dr. Robin's
Yes.
participation.
Okay. Thank
You
you,
know?
Prabhus. See
Hare
everyone
Krishna.
on Sunday.
Thanks to Prabhupada.